Today I wanted to give you a quick update on my shelving project. As you can see behind me, in addition to the shelves that I put up before, I've constructed a couple of sort of box type shelves to hold some of my cart games, and that's allowed me to use one of my favorite tools, which is the jigsaw. Let's take a closer look. Some of you may notice right off the bat that one side is a little bit wider than the other, and that's because on this side it was a little bit tight, so I had to measure very carefully to get this to fit in here. And the way I built it was I took two of the shelves. I actually had some leftover ones from these shelves, but they're exactly the same shelf that you see on the ones in the middle. And then I took a third one and I just cut pieces off of that one. And if they're all cut correctly and at the same length, then it's pretty easy to construct a box. So I made the outside ones first, and I just made this with two standard screws here on either side. I didn't do any measuring or anything fancy like that. So I made a standard box here, and then I filled in the two shelves in the middle. And you can see it's about the width of an Atari 5200 game. So any of my carts that are that width or smaller will fit in here. And you can see I have this on mounted to the wall with these L brackets here. And I had to use kind of an assortment of screws because to get the L brackets attached to the shelves themselves, you have to have a really short screw, and I didn't have a whole lot of those laying around. But the ones that I used to connect it to the wall are the ones with the anchors in them, and you can see I had a little bit of a problem with this one over here, trying to get it all the way in because the drill is hard to get up in there. So it doesn't really make any difference. I think I went without the outer two screws on the other side. Because you can get to all the screws pretty easily on the bottom. So as long as you've got enough support there, then you should be okay. On the other side here, you can see this one's a little bit wider, and it's a little bit wider than a Super Nintendo cart. So all of those will fit in there nicely. And again, it looks like I got all of them in there this time. But I did leave out the two on the actual top shelf itself, but those don't need to hold very much because it's just going to keep it from sliding back and forth. It's not actually really holding any weight. But as you can see, these have worked out pretty well, and they kind of frame the other shelves, and they're nice and sturdy. They're not going to go anywhere. Now the other thing I bought was something online. It's sort of prefabricated, and it comes in pieces, and then you put it together. So I'm going to show you a few tips on putting those kind of things together, and then I'll show you the whole thing mounted on the wall. Okay, so here we have our DVD shelves partially put together, and I wanted to just show you guys, some of you who may not be familiar with these sort of do-it-yourself things, how exactly these are put together. Now generally, each of these different kinds of things will have their own proprietary screw with some kind of stupid name, and this is what actually connects all of the different pieces together. So you actually have a couple of them in the bottom here holding these outer walls on, and the inner one here. And the way this thing actually goes onto the wall, and I'm really sorry about the quality of this video. I'm trying to do this handheld here. Is you have one of these guys. Now this is going to go on the wall, and you're going to mount it so that the little lip part here is facing out. And then there's another one on the back side of your actual DVD cabinet, and then you literally hang it on the wall like that. So that can be really nice if you need to take it off, do any kind of adjustments, anything like that. But one thing I did want to warn you about is that the instructions for this tell you to put the outer and the inner walls on, and then to put this back hanger on, and then they tell you to slide the backing in, which I already did, and then they tell you to use upholstery tacks to connect it to this center thing here. And you do need to do that, but they tell you to do all of this before you put the top on, and that's fine. But I don't know if you can see, but this my cat's going crazy for some reason. This top one here is actually a little bit crooked, and that's pretty common for these things. When you put them together, they'll be a little crooked until you get all of the screws in. What are you doing? Apparently my cat is very excited by this project. So anyway, so now I'm going to get the top on, and the other things that we have for this are just the standard shelves here, and this stuff here is just your molding, and that just goes on the front with dowels like that. And all these things will have instructions with them. A lot of these do-it-yourself projects don't require any power tools. This one does, just so you can mount it, but you don't really need any power tools to put the screws in or anything, but it does make it a lot easier. So I recommend getting just a cheap drill. Mine was only maybe $15 or $20, so that generally helps. I should also mention that when you put your molding on the front, it's going to be connected with these little plastic dowels here. And you can see there's already a hole drilled for you on the other side. And so we're going to use our standard hammer here to hammer these onto the front, but we want to make sure that we don't knock any dings or create any blemishes in our molding. So you can either use a thick piece of cardboard or a book or something of that nature to kind of pad the force of the hammer, so you can still get it on there, but you don't knock any dents in it. And in this case, I'm going to be using my very well-worn copy of the Melodious Etudes for Trombone. So there you go. Now we've got the top on, and I wanted to be sure to make a point to remind you that most of these things come with these little pieces of plastic, and all they do is just cover up your screws like that, so you don't have any metal screws kind of making your nice new set of shelves into an eyesore. You can see there's some there again. We just take this and just stick it on there, and that's it. Okay, now we got our shelves put together, and I've got the area cleared over here so I can get up here. I'm going to mount it on the wall right here. Now it's important to remember we're gonna mount this guy on the wall, and the other side will clip onto it. So we're gonna have to drill 3 holes in here. I'm gonna use 3 screws. You can use excuse me. You can use as many as you want, but I think 3 should probably do it. And since I'm gonna want to make sure this is nice and sturdy, I'm gonna use a 1-inch number 10 screw. And you want to make sure when you're doing this to get a screw. Sorry, it's hard to do this with one hand. To get a screw that's significantly longer than what it's going to be holding to the wall. Now, in my case, I'll be doing this on brick. Most of you guys will probably be doing this on regular, like a drywall type wall. And in which case, be sure to use the anchors like I showed you in my last shelving video. If you are hanging this on brick or concrete or something of that nature, what I do is I use 2 different drill bits. I use a smaller one and a larger one. I'm not sure the exact sizes. I think it's a 1/8 and a 3/16, but don't quote me on that. So in any case, what I'll do is I'll drill the small one out significantly deeper than the screw itself, and then I drill the larger of the two out just about to the end of the screw, because your screw is not going to turn into the wall very much before it's stuck. Now the good thing is it's not going to go anywhere. If you're using brick and you put it in the wall, it's not going anywhere, but you do need to have the hole pretty precisely drilled for this to work. I should also mention that if you are drilling into brick or concrete or something like that, make sure you have masonry bits. The standard drill bits will not work. You'll end up with a drill bit lodged into your wall. So be sure to get a masonry bit. These are a little bit stronger and they're made to drill into tougher surfaces. So here we have our DVD case completely put together and mounted, and you can see that right now I'm using it for some handheld games and some of my older boxed games, my Atari, Astrocade, and Odyssey 2 games. And it works really nicely for those. The only thing I would warn against if you're getting this for DVDs is there is like a little bit of a lip on the inside of each shelf. So if it was a DVD, you probably couldn't see whatever was at the end. But other than that, I have no real complaints about it. I think it looks nice, and the black kind of goes with everything on this side of the room. The only negative effect, really, in my mind, and it's kind of hard to show this with the camera, but it makes this wall just a pinch unbalanced because I don't have anything over here. So I'll probably either hang a picture or maybe put another one of these up on the other side or something of that nature, just to kind of balance things out. But that is the end of my shelving project for now, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.